This is the story of Newcleus, a band of musicians from a far-off galaxy.
I'm from Brooklyn, man, and, in Brooklyn, we keep it real. I'm not going to tell people, oh, I'm really an alien and all that.
We're going back in time, counting down the top 80 songs from the greatest pop music decade in the history of human civilization, the 1980s. You're listening to the 80 of the 80s podcast with your hosts, DJ CK1 and AK47.
Push the button.
Your voice is dynamic.
Is that a good thing?
Not necessarily for podcasting. It makes it more difficult to...
Should I just speak like this the whole time? I'm really emotional, so I get really excited about something, and I speak really loudly.
And then you get loud, yeah.
And then I get really quiet.
Right, yeah.
So, anyway, okay.
Okay, so here we are, episode... What are we down to, number 45?
Heck if I know. Gosh.
45?
Yeah.
Because Mark almost 46, right?
I'm pretty sure he's older than 46.
Get that straight. You know what I'm talking about.
I know. I think we are at 45, but you know what?
Yeah.
We should probably ask the Gobotron just to be sure.
No.
We can't keep up with anything these days.
We remember the Gobotron. Remember we demoted him last time. Not only is he not in the closet, I disassembled him. Remember? What?
You disassembled him?
I disassembled him because I'm worried about Robotocalypse. Robotopocalypse.
Wait, we have an issue here because I didn't know this.
But haven't you noticed he's not around?
Well, yeah, I just thought maybe he was he took a vacation or something.
So the last thing that happened, listeners, go back and listen to episode 46. At the beginning, you'll hear he developed a southern accent since we live in the South, and it was creeped me the F out. It went into the uncanny valley. He sounded too human for my taste. I don't want him taking over a household. I don't want robots taking over the world. So he's gone? He's never coming back? It's always good to have a fail-safe, just in case if, let's say, the bad robots are trying to take over, I might be able to reassemble him, and maybe I can utilize him as part on our team to fight for our side. Maybe, but I don't know. We're not at that point yet.
Well, this is just a bad start to the podcast.
No, this actually is very appropriate, because the theme of this song, number 45 on our countdown, is Computer Age by Newcleus, and in parentheses it's push the button. It's all about computers taking over the world and how there's been too much of a technological influence on our lives. And this was written...
I agree with that. Yes.
The writing of it does predate Planet Rock, the very influential Planet Rock, so that would put it about 82. It was, for its time, it was a very highly advanced techno electro-funk song. Mm-hmm. So Newcleus, basically, it's spelled N-E-W, New, C-L-E-U-S.
Awesome name, by the way.
They were originally called Positive Message because they were kind of like a Christian-ish, inspirational funk group.
Yeah.
Ben Senac and his friend Bob Crafton, Ben and Bob, back in the late 70s, they did block parties.
Yeah.
The genesis of hip-hop music, they were there in Brooklyn. Now, some people say hip-hop started in the Bronx.
Yeah, there's a big debate about that, right?
There is, yeah, because I saw two documentaries. The more popular one on Netflix says, it definitely started in the Bronx. But there's one on YouTube that says, it definitely started in Brooklyn. So, there's a bit of debate. But they were there doing the block party thing. Big speakers where they would blow people away. So a lot of rap songs about blowing people away and how their mixes will bring the crowds. And they'll rock the mic, which basically means rapping.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where that started. Here's the gig. Ben Senac, he's also known as Cozmo D. I actually scored, this is a surprise, an interview with them.
Woo!
So most of this podcast and most of our discussion about
that is awesome.
Newcleus and the song Computer Age, Cozmo D himself, he's going to be the one providing the info about it. Just so listeners know the background, he had a cousin named Monique, and Monique got married to Bob Crafton. Later, he got the moniker of Chili B. and then Yvette, who later married Cozmo D. And because all these family members are getting together, that's how they got the name Newcleus.
Yeah, that's great.
Right, because they were like a nucleus of the families, right? So, kind of in the first album, Jam on the Revenge, in a way, because Cozmo D and Chili B were the main songwriters and musicians and rappers / singers. They were kind of more of as a duo, but in the second album, Spaces of the Place, there was more singing by Yvette and Monique, and then they got a bunch of other members. They actually had a real drummer, not just a beatbox.
Yeah.
And then they had some break dancers. I wouldn't have known about them if not my cousin Michael. When I would hang out at his place and we'd play Intellivision video games together, we'd listen to this album, Jam on Revenge, from '84, and it just was like, wow, we're there. We're in the future, listening to this futuristic music, playing this futuristic outer space video games, and it was quite the experience to immerse yourself in this technorific world. It wasn't until like years later I found out there was Space is the Place, their '85 album, and I think they're very much an underrated group. They're kind of known as like a rap group just because their big hit was Jam on It, kind of like a classic old school sample.
3 words of the wax, tell me still wax, getting down and then giving no slack like a Burger King with the sack of Big Macs, with throwing down and with the rockables hats on time. In your mind, see, you gotta book it to your best ability. You gotta funk it up until it knocks you down, and when you're bumping up, make sure you pass it around. Come on, let's go to work.
Most of their songs weren't off their first album weren't really that rapping. It was more singing, and there were some instrumentals. And then Spaces of the Place, they did more rapping.
Some of their stuff I could kind of hear like a little bit of a Kraftwerk influence to their sound.
Yeah.
And I like that. And I'm not a huge hip-hop fan, but like old school hip-hop like this, man, I think it's awesome.
Well, yeah, and
love it.
Thematically as well. And so, yeah, that's something else I'm going to discuss with Cozmo D. And another note, this
Allow me to introduce myself, my name is Chili B.
is kind of a sad note before I get into the interview, is that unfortunately I wasn't able to talk to Chili B because he died back in 2010. So some of his vocals are going to be on the next Newcleus release because Cozmo D is still putting out some Newcleus stuff. You can check it out.
That's awesome.
Jam On Productions. That's jamonproductions.com. Look that up. Check it out. You can see what some of the releases that they've been into lately. Not only that, they've reissued and remastered some of their older materials. So
I haven't heard this interview. I've been waiting for the podcast. I'm so excited.
You get to hear it right now.
Woo!
Oh no, it's Cozmo!
Hey, Cozmo.
Hey, what's up, man?
I mean, this is an honor. It has been 33 years since I first heard Jam on Revenge, the album. And now I get to talk to you about it. That's awesome. So I've always just wondered about, like, the mythos of Newcleus. The story, like, what planet are you from?
Brooklyn.
Okay, well, that's a little bit of a disappointment because, I mean, at the beginning of the album, it says that, you know, you're a band of cosmic crusaders.
From a place where music and dancing are against all cosmic and computer law.
Yeah, well, I had nothing to do with that.
Oh, no.
That was Ken Spiderweb, who the guy that was producing us, Joe Webb, that was his cousin. Or they brothers, one or the other. Brothers or cousins, well, anyway, they're family. And, you know, he's a radio disc jockey in New York. And he brought him in to do the intro for the album. You know, and we had this space kind of thing going, you know, but I'm from Brooklyn, man. Yeah, I've always been into futuristic stuff, you know, from sci-fi to the music and all of that, you know, but more future instead of space, but I was always into all of that, you know, but the how we ended up being from outer space is a line in when I was in 1979, but I had a girlfriend named Cheryl, and, you know, I was a DJ. I wasn't an MC, you know, but back then we were rocking the parks, you know, so we'd say rhymes in the parks, you know, and even the DJs would take turn getting on the mic. So I had a bunch of rhymes that I wrote, you know, and in my book of rhymes. And one day I found that she had a book. And in the book, she said, she had written, I'm so forth and so on, or whatever her name was, her MC name, her rap name was. I'm so forth and so on from outer space. I came to rock the human race. I do it right because I can't do it wrong. I rock with the boogie all night long.
Yeah.
I said, oh, that's dope.
I'm Cozmo D from outer space. I came to rock the human race. I do it right because I can't do it wrong. That's why the whole world is singing this song. I jam on it. I say,
So I just took that shit, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, it's all right if I curse, right?
Oh, yeah. Now, my wife and I, when we get together and the kids are to bed, we say some, we throw some F-bombs sometimes, so.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I just took that. And years later when I'm writing Jam on It, you know, because the record company asked us to do a rap record. We weren't rappers, but they asked us to do a rap record. I just threw a whole bunch of old rhymes in there. And that rhyme was in there. So that cemented us being from outer space. But the first way that we came from outer space was Jam On's Revenge,
Right.
which is what became known as the Wiki Wiki song. I originally wrote as a joke, and it was a Western theme.
That's right, pilgrims. Me and the Jam On production crew here are taking over this town. So all of you ding-dangers just pack up your hips and your hops, get on your high horses, and vamoose.
You know, and Jam On Productions was ridding a town of whack rappers. You better get out of town by sundown. It's on our website, the Jam On Productions website.
Yeah.
Oh, the 4-track demo we did. You know, and I was a Munchkin John Wayne. You know, and we were ridding everybody out of town and all that. Well, that's the record Joe Webb wanted to put out first. And we go in the studio, and he says, you know, this is great. You know, we want this, but, you know, John Wayne is an American hero. So we can't do John Wayne.
Oh, come on.
I said, what?
Yeah.
He said, yeah. I said, okay, so then it'll be Cozmo, you know, because I was already Cozmo, and we're from outer space, and we're ridding Earth of whack rappers. And I just changed it just like that. I've been stuck from outer space ever fucking since.
Yeah, I know. Like your Destination Earth compilation, you still have, you know, the ones that you've come out the last couple decades. They still have that sci-fi art to them.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely sci-fi. I'm definitely futuristic, sci-fi, planets, all of that. I'm definitely in there. But I never tried to pretend outside of those couple of instances that I am from actually outer space. Because, you know, I'm from Brooklyn, man, and, you know, in Brooklyn, we keep it real. I'm not going to tell people, oh, I'm really an alien and all that.
Okay.
It's kind of whack, you know?
I've corrected the record. So Chili B, he didn't ride a dinosaur like a flying dragon.
No. Bob Camp came up with that. I hope to meet Bob Camp someday and ask him why the dinosaur, man.
Yeah.
or the dragon or whatever that thing is. No, we didn't have nothing to do with that either. Adam Levy, I'm pretty sure it was Adam because he's the one that did the comic books, hired Bob Camp from Marvel Comics to do the covers. I guess, you know what? I think he figured that wiki, wiki, wiki is something that the dinosaur would say. Because if you look on the Jam On Revenge album,
Right.
It's got the bubble comment, wiki, wiki, wiki coming out the dinosaur. But I don't know.
Wiki, 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 wiki. Wiki, 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 wiki. Wiki, 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 wiki. Wiki, 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 wiki.
So what is the significance of Wiki Wiki?
Wiki, wiki, wiki. See, we're an old school battle crew from rocking the parks in Brooklyn, you know, rocking the parks and street jams in Brooklyn in the 70s. And when scratching came along, because we started out as blend DJs, you know, and we played a lot of disco, you know, so you did long mixes and blends. Scratching came along, you know, right about the same time that the battles picked up. And, you know, a lot of cats, you know, learn how to scratch, but, you know, they really couldn't rock a crowd. They just learned how to scratch. And there was this one crew that we battled against. They had a young boy in this crew was really nice. Homeboy was nice. But their crew wasn't shit compared to us, so we blew them away for the umpteenth time. So he came over to us after they were packing up. He came over to us and he said, "You guys are bad, yeah, but you can't do this. Wiki, 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 wiki," doing the turntables thing. Yeah. And I just laughed at him and said, "I ain't got a wiki, wiki, wiki. We just blew your ass away again." So when I made the Jam On's Revenge cut, you know, I was making jokes and ridding in town of whack rappers. So we were ridding in town of whack DJs too. And the DJs would always tell us, even though we run them out of town, "Yeah, but can you guys do this? Wiki, 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 wiki." You know, because I never learned how to scratch. I still don't know how to scratch. That's where the significance of wiki, wiki, wiki really comes from. You know, rap DJs trying to tell us, "Well, you can't scratch, so you guys ain't bad." And so, "Oh yeah, watch this." You know, we hit them with the funk.
Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed, that your songs, I don't think I remember any scratching nor that much sampling either.
Well, the original stuff was pre-sampling for the most part. You know, if you could afford a Fairlight or an emulator, and I think emulators were brand new, then you could do sampling. It wasn't until the second album when the Mirage came out, which was the first sampler that I could afford, that we used sampling. If you listen to the record Technology, I use sampling in that. But up until that point, you know, I wanted to sample, which is why I said jam on it, because I didn't have a sampler to go jam on it. So we did it, you know, we did it with our mouths. But, you know, we were aware of sampling, but it wasn't affordable yet. As I'm working on a new album, I go more into introspect and realize what we always were was a funk band. But we were hip-hop. Not that we played hip-hop, we were hip-hop. We lived hip-hop. You know, we're from the streets battling other crews. That's where we're from. So even though we're making funk music, because we are hip-hop, the hip-hop element is there. But when I started thinking about, you know, why our music stands out differently from all the other crews that were doing electro funk, hip-hop, all that, ours standing out, because we were a funk band. You know, we were about doing funk. And we just did it with electronic instruments, which made electro funk. And we did it with a hip-hop feel, which made it electro funk hip-hop. And I really think that we were probably one of the only bands that ever was authentic with that sound.
And while other maybe electro-funk groups were kind of going more toward a rap direction. And I think with Space is the Place, you guys were rapping more, but you still had instrumentals too. So do you think that helped or hurt you, the fact that you were unique, that you were a mix of the funk, and there was jazz, there was synth solos, there was the futuristic imagery, and that you weren't necessarily like the typical Run DMC street rapping group?
No, I don't think it hurt us at all. What hurt us was the record company didn't know what the fuck they were doing. And then by the second album, they were going under with Morris Levy being indicted, and ended up going, you know, because, you know, he was mob. That's what screwed us, you know, as far as that's concerned. They did no promotion on the second album. That and the guy who brought us up to Sunnyview was ripping us off. So all those things came into play. No. Our being unique is the reason we're still relevant today. You know, I've got no qualms whatsoever. The one regret I have about the second album, no, there's more than one. The first regret I have about the first album is because I was young and didn't know what was going on, I allowed them too much control over the music. You know, they took songs and made them instrumentals. They took songs and took all the instruments out. You know, they took somebody else's song and put it on our album. You know, all of these things. And on the second album, because I felt so fucked up and how they fucked up my songs on the first album, I said, okay, for the second album, we're going to give them a whole bunch of stuff that they want and not worry about the stuff, the substance that we were about doing. So the second album, and mind you, I love the second album, you know. But it was missing the stuff of substance. Only song of real substance on there was Why, and that's because Why was a Positive Messenger song like most of the songs on the first album. You know, left over from before we got signed. Everything else, you know, okay, they want this, they want that, you know, they want us to rap more, all that. We did all of that, you know, but we still did it in our flair, you know, in our fashion, our unique way, our own sense of musicianship. So it still stands out. Don't sound like nothing else out there. So I'm still proud of the second album. My main regret was, yes, I tried to do an album for them. Instead of saying, fuck them, you know, we need to step off. I didn't understand that I could step off at the time, you know. And on the second album, you know, the Sunny View and Big Seven and Roulette and all of them, you know, were going through all the shit with Mars Levy, you know, and the FBI. So all of that screwed things up too.
So that one song you were talking about that you didn't do is that Where's the Beat?
Where's the beat?
Yeah.
Where's the beat? I don't think there's anybody back there but the drummer.
You know, I like that song though, and it has the chipmunk voices, and so it fooled me.
Listen to the Chipmunks on that song, listen to the Chipmunks on the other. There's no comparison, man.
That's my hustling girl. Yeah. She is fresh.
Yeah.
They didn't know how to do the Chipmunks. Standing on the dance floor. Oh my God.
Okay.
What happened was Joe Webb, the Where's the Beef commercial was huge.
Right, that was the summer of '84.
Joe Webb said he wanted me to write a song based on that commercial. I said, no, that's stupid. I'm not doing that. So he went and got somebody else to do it. And then like a fool, he got me to come in and laugh at the end. And I should have never done that. I should have told him, don't take that song and stick it up your ass. Yeah. So he went and he put it on the album, but you notice it's not on there anymore.
Right, yeah, okay. My brother, he's a fan too, and he thought the reason why is because Wendy's was going to sue you or something like that. That's why it was left off. But now
Wendy's couldn't have sued, but you know who could have sued? Whoever did the Peter Gunn thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know who did that. Here you go. You got, not only is it not authentic Newcleus, but the whack-ass producer who did it rips off a theme song that everybody in the world knows.
Yeah, it's Henry Mancini.
Yeah, oh, is it Henry Mancini?
Yep.
Oh, they should get sued on principle. I never made a dime off it, so they can't come after me about it.
So the chipmunk voices, how did that come about?
Well, I grew up, well, not grew up, but in my early teens, I got introduced to Funkadelic in Parliament, and George Clinton used to do that a lot, and I thought it was slick. You know, it was funky and it was slick. So when I did the Jam On's Revenge thing, you know, I threw that in there, and since then we got chipmunks.
A lot of the Euro synth groups, they also had like a futuristic theme as well, like Gary Newman and Kraftwerk. And was that an influence?
Gary Newman was an influence, but not his themes. No. Let me not lie.
Okay.
Let me not lie.
Automan, I'm not a robot.
Automan, no, but computer age. Now that I think about it, Gary Newman used to write his lyrics and not give a fuck about a rhyme.
Yeah.
and he just tells stories. And I believe, I'm trying to think, I believe when I wrote Computer Age, I had Gary Newman in mind. But what Gary Newman influenced me on was his use of synths, especially the layers of pads. And I've always loved strange, esoteric, atmospheric pads. I still do. In all my music, I try and throw some pads and bring them in. And, you know, that I totally got from Gary Newman. Kraftwerk, I loved their sound, the sounds they used, because they were so edgy and scientific sci-fi, but their music was boring as shit to me. I liked Trans Europe Express for like 5 to 10 minutes. I couldn't listen to the whole damn thing, you know, and we used to play it in the park, you know, and it was just boring to me until they dropped Computer World. Now, when they dropped Computer World, that changed everything. All of a sudden, they found funk, you know. But I was into their sounds. Who was much more an influence on me than Kraftwerk was Giorgio Moroder and Jean-Michel Jarre. Giorgio Moroder, because he had some funk in him, you know, and he was making dance music. Kraftwerk, I think they were making music to listen to for themselves, you know, which is fine, you know, but it just wasn't doing anything for me. And Jean-Michel Jarre, he also was using the same kind of sound, synthetic sounds, but he was making music. And for me, that was more important, to actually make music and melodies and things that, you know, that paint pictures. For me, Kraftwerk was really boring until Computer World.
Well, my wife would be a little disappointed to hear that. I don't know if you had a chance to look at some of our past shows, but we went to a Kraftwerk concert.
Did you enjoy that concert with them just standing there behind boxes?
Have you seen their 3D
I've seen
tour?
many of them.
Yeah, like watching it on YouTube, you don't really get it. But when you're there and then you feel the beat, and it's 3D, so you're wearing 3D glasses, and they have stuff going on behind them. You kind of get into it.
It's a DJ show.
I guess so, because I don't know, like, you do see Ralph, the one original member who's still there. He's still pressing keys, but the other guys, I don't know what they're doing. They're just standing, I guess.
I'm sorry. I mean, I give them props all the time, yeah. You know, and especially, you know, the innovation of the sounds. You know, that can't be taken from them. But to me, music is music. And if you take their song, like somebody played me some stuff where somebody took their music, and I think they did classical versions of it. And it just shows how boring it is. Oh, my God. There's nothing to it, you know. It's just... Dun, 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 dun. Da, 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 da. Where's the arrangement? Where's the excitation? Where's the build? Where's the crescendo? Nothing. But on Computer World, I don't know what happened from those other albums to Computer World, but somebody told them, you know, there's something that these Americans have come up with called funk, and for that, it changed everything. That album is incredible.
Yeah, Pocket Calculator.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I might have to edit this part out of the show, this bit, but I'm going to admit to you that through the 30 episodes we've done, it's kind of a running joke that my wife always wants me to do a Kraftwerk song, feature a Kraftwerk song on one of our shows, and I'm always putting it off. Because I do agree. I do think a lot of it is very monotonous, and that's
okay.
I mean, going back to your music, that's one thing I like, is because you'll have 8-minute long songs, and there'll be long instrumental bits, but it doesn't really get redundant. It's not like a lot of house music or techno electro music that it's just, or the trance stuff. It has some melodies, and it just feels like it's kind of like a progressive. Go ahead.
Yes, it builds. It builds. It reaches a crescendo, then it vamps out and shows colors on the vamp out and all that. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that, because that's what I try to do. Because every time I try to shorten the song, the reason my songs are so long is not because I think they should be long, because I know they shouldn't be long. But when I'm making them, I let my songs write themselves, create themselves. And I always feel, yes, but this has to happen. Oh, but something else is missing. Oh, this needs to build. Oh, something there needs to break down. Now this is, and next thing I know, I'm looking at 8 minutes. Wait till you hear the new computer age. The new computer age is 11 minutes.
Oh, you're doing another one?
Oh, yeah, there's a new album that I'm finishing up now. It's amazing, and it's also the last thing that Chili B did before he passed. So he does the vocal on it, and he also relays that amazing synth solo of his, and it's incredible. But it's updated, so and there's not a boring minute in it, but it's 11 and change.
Chili B, he sings in that song?
Yeah, he sings in that first incredible solo. After the break, that's him.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because that's like one of my favorite synth solos of all time. And actually, I was more of a casual Newcleus fan when I was like playing, like I told you in my email that I used to play video games with my cousin. But when he let me borrow the tape and I listened to side A, that blew me away. The part where you said it builds up, and it's like warning, warning. And then push the button, and then suddenly goes in that awesome synth solo.
Push the button.
That's like one of my favorite music moments ever.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, so, and another interesting thing I thought was that, I mean, it was very futuristic, and just the themes about computers taking over the worlds, taking our souls, things like that. Like, what was the influence behind that?
You know, I've been asked about this song 100 times. I don't think anybody's ever asked me the influence about that, where computer age came from. It was the times. It was what was happening at the time, and I'm trying to think, is there anything specific?
Technology was moving so quickly, and music was changing so much with the technology that, you know, you had these microchips, and it seemed like there was nothing that computers can't do. You could see like a robot apocalypse coming on the horizon, and now people are starting to say that again. They're talking about robots taking our jobs, the singularity, artificial intelligence.
That's the new thing.
Yeah,
I've got a new song, "Program for Love," and it's funny. A song about losing yourself and your soul to a sex robot. It's written in the words of the sex robot, and then here they come. Just a couple of weeks ago, I saw an advertisement for these new sex robots.
Yeah.
Real, and they have orgasms that remember your birthday, and I just posted it with the song. But no, it wasn't about robots. That the computer age is about letting computers not design, but make all the decisions. Everything that we do, everything that we think, everything that is done is logged into a computer. Whether it's your bank, you know, and whether you have money or not, the computer controls that. Or whether the missiles are flying, you know, the computer controls that. Everything, all of our decisions are being made by computers. I was thinking with that song when I wrote it, people aren't thinking about anything anymore. They're allowing the computers to think for them, and we were just at the beginning of that then.
Yeah.
But now, forget about it. And it wasn't true, I wish I had foreseen what was happening with the music. You got to remember at that time, MIDI wasn't even around yet. You could buy very crude sequencers that did very crude stuff and worked with very few synths. But otherwise, everything was, hand control, hand played. You actually had to be able to play. And there was no sampling yet either, So like I said, unless you were rich, and if you were rich, you surely weren't doing no fucking hip-hop. If I had foreseen that, Why on the second album was the first song I ever did MIDI, because I originally did Why a couple of years earlier. But when I got my first, when we started buying MIDI sequencers, MIDI synthesizers, and I got my first MIDI sequencer, and I saw what I was able to do with MIDI, it just blew me away, But that was for the second album. That was the first song done on the second album. To the point now, here I am, the guy who wrote Computer Age, and I've got, sitting right here in my studio, I've got about 5 computers. And that's not even going through the rest of the house.
So there's an irony there.
Oh, it's a crazy irony. Crazy irony. Because I got more computers than anybody.
Yeah.
And I was singing about I Can't Stand It, which is why on the new Computer Age, I updated the lyrics. It's now, everything is now run by machines, because we're living in it now.
Destination Earth.
My cousin Michael, I emailed him, and it's because I was saying, hey, I'm going to talk to Cozmo D, and he's psyched and everything, but there's a question that he wanted me to ask you. It does have to do with another one of your songs. First, he says that you guys were years ahead of and probably greatly influenced groups like Daft Punk while introducing the rap crowd to the future of techno. He's asking, why in '84 that you chose to produce such an awesome instrumental song as Destination Earth, still one of his favorites, when other groups like the Sugar Hill Gang, Curtis Blow, and Grandmaster Flash were just doing rhymes. And actually, I guess he didn't really know that, which I found out later, that Destination Earth originally had lyrics to it. But I don't know, it's hard for me to say which version I like better, because it's a really smooth, nice instrumental song.
You got to remember, Destination Earth was something I lived with long before they went and took the fucking vocal off.
Yeah.
But recorded in the studio with the vocal, they took it off. There's no contest for me.
Oh, okay.
Destination Earth is a special, unique, and probably the best written song. Destination Earth is the Newcleus theme song. Rather, let me change that. It's the Positive Messenger theme song, which was the name we were going by before we changed our name to Newcleus.
Yeah.
It was what we were about. Destination Earth, it's a song about getting in a time machine and going to the future because you can't find love here.
I just can't take it no more. Ain't nothing to stand this world for. Maybe by then we'll say that unless we learn to live love, we can never really be free.
And of course, it was written in probably 1982, 81 or 82.
Yeah.
And it might have been 81 now that I think about it, because I didn't have all the synths that I had in 82. So 1999 seemed like a good view in the future, especially when you're 21 years old. 21 years old, being 40 is something like, oh my God, I'll be an old man. It was what we were about love, and what I'm hoping to find there is a better world than we have here. I hope I'm on the right track, because if I find a world full of love, I'm never going to come back. That's what that song was about. Those words, the melody, and half of the stuff they took out. are so dear to me. Now, excuse my French. Fuck their version.
Okay.
Oh
man.
I'm glad everybody loves the instrumental because it's still us.
Yeah.
It's still what we played. It's still our song. But they took the heart and soul of the song out of it because that's what those lyrics were. So all you get is you get the melody, you get the emotion because that's written in the arrangement, but you don't get what the melody and the emotion are about. So they can kiss my ass.
Yeah, well, on the flip side, when I finally got a hold of your definitive Jam on Revenge, and I found that No More Running has lyrics,
and
it's much better.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Jonathan Farron, who did all the butchering, he was a club DJ. So here he got a group, because he was the first one to play Wiki Wiki on the radio. He was the first one. He broke it in New York. So I guess they figured they owed him, so they turned over all of our stuff to him. And he's trying to make a club group out of us. We were a funk group. But we had something to say. We had, substance. And he's stripping everything out and trying to make it just beats and all that. I don't curse him. God rest the dead. I don't curse him because a lot of what he did probably helped. But he still screwed us good, man. He still screwed us good. And No More Running is a prime example. Because whereas, I think Destination Earth would have been a hit. Automan, I think, would have been a hit, but a lot of people love it as a breakbeat. And the only reason it's a breakbeat is because what he did to it. So I have to back up a little on that, even though I've restored Automan to what it's supposed to sound like. But No More Running, if he had left the vocals in, that could have been a hit song.
Yeah.
It could have been a hit song. Instead, he made a dub of it and put it on the album and just stuck it on there. I think the same thing with Destination Earth. Destination Earth ended up being a B-side instrumental, whereas it actually could have been a song with some emotion that could have gone pop. And not like I was aiming for pop. I was just writing my songs, but that song could have been pop. It is what it is. I have no complaints. My life is blessed. My family is blessed. And whatever happened then put us on the path to here. So I have no complaints.
Yeah, in addition, Time After Time. Like, I listened to that just a few days ago. I didn't even know you had a vault on your website. And I encourage all of our listeners to go to jamonproductions.com, just one straight word, jamonproductions.com, and check out the vault, because they're free MP3s there. And you provide, like, all of your demos, 4 tracks, 24 tracks.
All of that's fine.
Time After Time, that is another, it could have been a hit song. And at least it could have been on an album. And it was great. You guys threw in a rap at the end.
See that boy running down the street? He's age 14, going on 43. He's got nowhere to go, but he's getting there fast. Maybe this time he'll make it there at last. The cops on his heels, so he's running away. But he's running from more than cops today. He's running from hunger, pain, and strife. But he's running away from his very life. You see his
I don't know what happened to that one, really. I don't know why that didn't make an album. I wonder if Joe Webb ever turned it over to them. Because that was a good song. You know what? It could have been... I don't know. I don't remember. Something happened why it didn't end up on an album. Spacebound, which only pieces of it are up in the vault, that one was going to be a hit. But it was a Christian song. So they didn't want to put it out. They said, no, you got to change the lyrics. I said, no, fuck you. You changed enough of my lyrics. We're not putting it out. You're not putting it out then. So it never came out. So one of these days I'll end up doing that. But that I think Spacebound could have been our biggest hit because the beat was so funky. It may be the oldest Positive Messenger song. It would have definitely been the oldest that got released.
It's a shame. I mean, at least you guys could have made some inroads into like the Christian music scene or something if it wasn't appropriate for like pop radio. But I can think of a lot of songs in pop radio that mention God and Jesus. So
yeah, it would have been fine on pop radio. The beat can't be denied, and we weren't preaching. We just mentioned Jesus a few times. It's like on Wired, they wouldn't let me say it's a light of Jesus, so I changed it to it's a light of ABBA, and I kicked myself for doing that.
ABBA, like the Swedish group? Is that what you're talking about?
On the cross, Jesus says to God, Abba. Abba means Father.
Oh, okay. All right.
So that's why.
Coded. I get it. Okay.
Yeah. It
was a dancing queen.
If Abba was good enough for Jesus to address his father, address God with, and is good enough for us. But I wanted to say Jesus, because Jesus' teachings that the song's supposed to be about. But again,
is this frustrating you? I could bring up something else that.
No. Go ahead. I'm enjoying it.
Okay, good.
I'm blessed, man. I'm enjoying it.
Cool. Okay. Another thing that we might want to clear for our listeners: this was a disappointment I had. I really wanted to get Computer Age on CD form, and it wasn't out. I just had it on cassette, and then I saw a CD. It said like Newcleus: The Next Generation, and so I was like, yes. I guess you know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh, that's the imposters, man.
Well, how did that happen?
How did that happen? I guess Joe Webb, after we decided, when we found out that Joe Webb is stealing all our money, we said, okay, we're not going to work with him anymore. He took our two dancers. We originally had four, but for most of Newcleus' time, we had three. Slam, Lil Old Me, and Kid Fresh. Kid Fresh is Joe Webb's son, Paul. Now, Slam, because when we got tired of them running shit, Slam took our side, so they fired Slam. So when we're doing the second album, we wrote a rhyme for Kid Fresh and Lil Old Me. So, and that became I Want to Be a B-Boy. I'm getting there.
Okay, cool.
Setting it up.
Yeah.
So, after we found out that Joe Webb was ripping us off and taking every dollar and never paid us a dime, we stopped working with him. So he went and he shot Kid Fresh, his son, and Lil Old Me, and he what was the name of their group? Latest Edition. Not New Edition, Latest Edition. And he got a deal with a major. Got a deal, and of course it flopped because he has no talent and they had no talent. So I guess he couldn't get a deal again after that. Next thing I know, I'm shopping because by then Chili B and I are producing. I'm shopping a girl group I have. And I call up Columbia, and the guy's excited. Cozmo, it's great to hear from you. And so jumps on the phone. Now I'm shopping something. I don't know this guy, so I'm like shocked. Oh, and I couldn't wait for it when you come down here and so forth and so on. I said, what? Turns out Joe Webb had shopped and gotten a deal with them. I'm pretty sure it was CBS. A deal with them. But they thought I was involved. So I told him no, we're not working with Joe Webb anymore. And that was the end of that. We didn't get our deal signed either, the girls we were shopping. But so that was the end of that. So he ends up putting out Kid Fresh and Lil Old Me, along Mike Skinner, who used to rap. I'm sorry for using his government, but I can't remember what his rap name was. But he was in a group called Total Control, who we had produced a record for when we did the Dynamic Breakers record. He rapped on that. and Reggie, who was a studio drummer that Joe Webb liked to use. And he put the four of them out as Newcleus. And what he did was he combined a bunch of the old Newcleus records with crowd noise.
I know.
And claimed they were live versions.
But think, I was I was 12 or something. I can't remember, but I knew they were. I could tell myself that they weren't live versions. It didn't fool me.
No, anybody who's heard the actual records know those are the records. And then they get out of here. And he put that out himself. And then he did a remix of that, with some other, they had a couple of new records, but they sucked.
Huxtable House Party?
Yeah, this is a fresh new dance. It's called the Huxtable. And no, we're not talking about TV. It's not Theo or Rudy. We just want you to shake your booty.
Oh, my God. That was, after that, he has used Kid Fresh and Lil Old Me with Master, I forget his name, but I used to produce him, too. Trying to get him deals. So basically, the phony Newcleus was our old dancers and our old studio rejects, and he puts them together and puts them out as Newcleus. And I wish I had seen them at a show because I wanted to see who's going to go up there and pretend to be me. That would have fucking killed me. But yeah. So that's where the phony Newcleus, or as my wife calls him, Fucleus, comes from.
Oh man, that really sucks because it's such inferior material, and for people to associate you with it. But see, yep. I felt like something was up because it didn't sound like you guys. And then there was an electro funk compilation that I got because I was like, all right, now I'm going to get the definitive version of Computer Age. This is like a Rhino's Electric Funk 2, and then they cut the awesome synth solo out. Like, yeah, you didn't know that?
Rhino?
Yeah, Rhino's Electric Funk 2.
Rhino had the rights for a minute, and they were putting out all kinds of versions, so I didn't hear them all.
Okay.
At least they paid me, but I didn't hear them all. So really, they put Computer Age and didn't put the solo.
It's like 3 minutes or something, and like right after Chili B does the push the button, right before the solo comes in, it cuts off and goes right to, I think, Egyptian Lover or Siberian Nights or something like that. Oh, it's some
kind of mix CD. Oh, okay.
Right. Well, no, but it's like all the other songs are complete songs, but they cut you guys out. I don't know why. Maybe they just needed some more room on it.
How stupid is that?
I'm sorry to be the bearer of all this bad news.
No, I don't care about that. Yeah. That's gone.
But
all that shit is gone.
And I didn't really know much about you guys because this was before the internet, and there wasn't that much in print about you, like in the music anthology books and things. And so, like, Rhino did have a little bit of a bio on you guys, talking about, how like rapping against Superman was a common theme, and then they took those couple paragraphs and they just pasted those into the Newcleus The Next Generation CD, and it was just like, it just seemed like really out of context, and I thought like, wait, this is like the same text, and so again that seemed kind of phony too. So
yeah, that's Joe Webb, boy.
Oh.
that's typical of the kind of bullshit he does.
Yeah. Oh well. That group, the girl group you're shopping around, was that Shaw Lore?
Yep.
It's so confusing. I took so much care to keep my heart empty. I can't see how I felt. Oh, why?
Okay. See, because that was a good tune too.
You've done your homework. Very good.
I'm a fan.
That wasn't I'm in Love. That was a record, not a record because it didn't come out, but that was a track that we did first with them called Hot Lover. And we almost got a deal. It's more of a freestyle track. We almost got a deal with it. And after that, I said, you know what? Fuck this shit. I'm going to house and put stuff out myself. And that's how we ended up doing I'm in Love.
So your house phase, are you still doing house music?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Are you still under like the Dream to Science? Is that like the moniker you're still using now?
Whatever moves me. What I do with house, again, this is my Parliament Funkadelic upbringing is I do things more in projects than I do with actual group names. So, we had Push-Pull, we had Body Work, we had Dream the Science, whatever. I come up with the track or the feel, and whatever it moves me to be, that's what it is.
Yeah, I've tried to delve into house, but man, that's a whole nother galaxy.
Yeah. The beautiful thing about house, it's organic and it's consistent. And, I love sci-fi sounds, and I use synthesizers in house, but I'm looking for a warm, organic feel, and what worked in the 90s still works today. You can be fresh, but the groove, the feeling, is not, that's corny now. That doesn't happen in house. House is basically disco with updated instruments. I love it because disco is one of my early loves. So but you're right. It's a whole different forest.
Okay, well, enough of this positivity. Let's go back to the negative. So what happened to like good music then? Because it seemed like there was such a progression. Things since the 90s have just kind of stagnated, and there hasn't been any new stuff. I mean, I guess it's a little different, but I don't know. What's happened to music?
We've reached generations, and I mean generations, because it's not just one genre. It cuts across genres, who no longer view learning music as value. Like
instruments?
Or theory. You don't have to learn instruments, but you should know keys, and notes. Now people just let, if it sounds good, they throw it in. If it doesn't, and because as we've gotten far away, because this has been going on for generations now, what sounds good has stretched more and more to be stuff that is no longer in key with itself. And people think, but it's all right, that doesn't matter, the key isn't important, who cares about keys and so forth. But it is important because it's organically what we hear. Keys didn't exist before we invented them. It was what is inside of us, and we shaped the instruments to play what was inside of us. And we've lost track of that now. We're playing shit that doesn't speak to us anymore. And because of that, you can have a hit because people play it enough on the radio or play the video enough or share the YouTube enough. It can be a hit. But will anybody care about it a year from now? No, because there's nothing to memorize. There's nothing that speaks to your soul, speaks to your heart, speaks to your brain, because it's not musical.
You know what? I was thinking it's kind of like, I don't know if you're a Star Wars fan with the sci-fi, but how the old Star Wars movies, you felt the emotions and they had the lines that you can remember and recite, and then the newer ones are just, I don't think they'll be revered like the old ones were. So if that's an analogy.
It's an analogy.
Okay.
It's an analogy. I don't know if they're causing the same thing.
Yeah.
But in ways maybe because maybe people have lost sight of the craft. It became less about making the great movie and more about making the big movie.
Or there's something that's not going to lose money.
That makes sense. In other words, it became about, you're no longer concerned with making a movie that's timeless. You're concerned with making a movie that's going to kill at the box office.
Right.
And that's very similar. People now are making music to sell. It's like what's happening in hip hop now, where everybody's sounding like each other. That was a violation of rule number 1 in hip hop. You trying to sound like somebody else. It was called biting style. You don't bite nobody else's style. People got shot for biting styles back in the day. Now it's rule number 1. It doesn't sound like this. It doesn't sound like that. Whereas if you look at our era, you look at every era up until the mid-90s, and the hip-hop that was out, you knew who it was as soon as it came out because that person had their own style. And it didn't sound like the other one, even if they had somebody like Primo producing them. So the beats sounded relatively the same. The artist on them didn't. And the producer took great care to separate one style from the other. But we live in a different time now.
Well, I think with, like, if I could use the movie analogy, people don't go to the movie theater as much anymore, so it's harder for them to recoup a loss that they would have on a big budget. And so with music, it's a similar thing because people can go YouTube and get their music for free. They can download it for free. So it's just so much harder for artists to make money. The record companies don't want to take a risk. They don't want to try anything new because they just want something like, hey, how are we going to get our investment back?
Yeah, oh, fuck them.
Yeah.
I stopped dealing with record companies years ago, and now it's coming around full circle. I mean, I've been dealing with the Orchard since about 2005, and now the Orchard has been bought out by Sony Red, and all of a sudden they're putting everything vinyl, everything under one roof, and so I went from running for the majors to having major distribution.
Yeah.
Because they're realizing that it's the independents that are going to make stuff of substance. So in the meantime, they'll continue to pimp these people who hoe out the same banal garbage over and over again. But they understand that it's the independents that are the future. It's just going to take time. They're taking the long sight. They're playing the long game. At least that's what I'm hoping.
Well, no, but, I mean, you have such a great laugh, so that's good. You could just let all these troubles just just roll over you and everything. So.
I've been doing this since 1983 and haven't had to work. I mean, what I do is work, but when you do what you love for work, totally blessed.
Thanks again for Ben Cenac, a.k.a. Cozmo D. Very interesting, very informative. And
he just sounds like a cool guy.
He is.
Just awesome.
You
like to go have a beer
guy.
with this guy, or water, or whatever he drinks. I don't know.
Right. Well, I think one of the things I took from the interview was the Newcleus artistic vision didn't really quite make it out the way he wanted it to.
Yeah.
But how he looks at the positive side of it. He's very optimistic, saying, hey, at least I'm able to, make a living off of this. At least people still know who I am. At least I'm a brick in the legacy of hip-hop and techno electro music, period. So yeah.
I wish he were more of a hardcore Kraftwerk fan, but...
Oh, that's okay.
It's all right. I'll forgive you.
Well, he had some.
I'm still a fan.
He had some good things to say about Gary Newman, though.
That's true. That is true, and I do love Gary Newman. So
yeah. So we got some listener mail coming up, but first let's go commercial breaks. So say your commercial thing.
80 of the 80s. We'll be right back. Da-da.
Airwolf. Sponsored by Rich Formula Prel with its soft, gentle fragrances and special silkeners. Prel leaves your hair feeling soft and silky.
Hey, Brittany.
Yeah?
Do you remember the 16-bit wars between Sega and Nintendo?
I don't. But you could tell me about them.
I could. On the Press Continue podcast.
Yeah. Hey, Adam, do you remember your family flipping the table when everyone got angry playing Monopoly?
No, because we weren't allowed to play Monopoly.
Wow, let's talk about it.
On the Press Continue podcast. Hey, Brittany.
Yeah?
Do you remember waiting all week for the weekend so you could play D&D with your friends?
Yeah, I do, actually.
Do you?
You're one of them.
You had friends?
Oh, no.
No, I didn't either. I had to play by myself. Roll for initiative. Oh.
Join us while we reminisce about our gaming experiences.
And make new experiences on some games we've never played.
on the Press Continue podcast.
You can find all this fun stuff at www.presscontinuepodcast.com, or you can search for us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr. Just search for Press Continue Podcast.
Yep.
So tune in, where the gaming never ends, as long as you press continue.
It certainly is a big bun.
It's a very big bun.
Big fluffy bun.
It's a very big fluffy bun.
Where's the beef?
Some hamburger places give you a lot less beef on a lot of bun.
Where's the beef?
At Wendy's, we serve a hamburger we modestly call a single. And Wendy's single has more beef than the Whopper or Big Mac. At Wendy's, you get more beef and less bun.
Hey, where's the beef? I don't think there's anybody back there.
You want something better. You're Wendy's kind of people.
Wow, that Wendy's commercial.
Man.
Hit the spot, huh?
Sure did.
Yes, let's go out and grab us some Frosties.
Frosty won't fix it.
Frosty won't fix it. Oh, do you want to let our listeners know in that bit of trivia?
No, it's okay.
Oh, okay.
It's too long of a story.
Okay.
How much time do we have?
Don't worry. All right, so listener mail. 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 First, I want to say, iHeartRadio listeners, I've mentioned this a lot, but not all of our shows are on iHeartRadio. So if you're listening right now on iHeartRadio, go to our website, 80oftheeighties.com, and actually you could just Google it.
Yeah,
80
man.
Of.
I've typed in 80 of, and we popped up, I almost wet myself.
I know.
That is so exciting.
Yeah, if I could brag, we're getting very close to having a total of 100,000 downloads. We're on up and up.
We have tons of goodies, so check out our website.
Right, yes. We got lots of goodies and links, 80oftheeighties.com. This guy, he says he found us by accident on iHeartRadio. Listen to a handful of your shows. Very interesting stuff. I must admit, though, I'm one of those people that despise Starship.
Oh, that's okay. We'll forgive you.
To each his own.
Yeah,
to each his own. Yeah, love your work. Keep doing what you're doing. Right.
Yay.
No, I mean,
Thank
I understand.
you.
I can totally understand Starship is kind of a little bit more of a cheesy tri group. Some of the songs are.
It is.
But it's still our most downloaded show is the Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now show. So there must be something to that.
There's something to it.
Nothing's Gonna Stop that show. Okay, here's another. Someone said, hey, enjoying your podcast.
Woo-hoo.
Don't like every artist featured, but it's still interesting to hear things that were going on with the artist.
Yeah.
Was wondering if you're familiar with Martini Ranch.
Hi, I've never had sushi before. Maybe you could prepare something special. What's fresh? Sounds good.
There were a one-album group produced by Mark Mothersbaugh of Devo. It's a Mark Mothersbaugh. I should get this right because we're supposed to be experts, right?
Yeah, we both really suck at pronouncing names. I think it's Mothersbaugh.
Yeah, see, it's a name I've never.
Or Mothersbaugh. I said.
Okay.
No. Heck if I know. Well, don't even ask me.
No, I mean, he's well known.
I can't even walk straight. How am I supposed to read something?
Probably he's best known is Yo Gabba Gabba, is the artist. On,
okay.
Yeah. And he does a lot of music for a lot of.
Well, I mean, I know who he is
movies.
Anyway, but
those quirky Wes Anderson soundtracks.
I just can't say his name.
Yeah. So that guy, that dude, he was with Devo, and he also produced the Martini Ranch album. It says, I particularly love the song "How Can a Laboring Self-Culture."
Domo. Thanks, pal.
My teenage get a kick out of the intro to that song. Look forward to hearing who is number one on your list. Eventually, we will get to number
there.
one.
It may be a while, but we'll get there.
Right. Now, Martini Ranch, if you remember, one of our podcasts we had a guest, Paul, DJ Remix. He played a bit of Reach, which was a Martini Ranch song. I didn't know of any of their other songs. I went back and listened to this song, How Can a Laboring Self-Culture? And it's really good. And I think that just goes to show how deep the decade is.
Oh,
you can go through your whole life on YouTube mostly these days, just exploring and delving deeper, drilling down, and you find just so much good music. It's just you guys stir it up, and the cream comes up to the top.
You know what? I like to get on YouTube. I don't know if anybody else does this, but I like to get on YouTube and just type in really random things like weird Swedish 80s songs and just see what pops up. But the problem is when I start doing that, I will be wherever I'm sitting for hours because it just never ends, and it's addictive. It really is.
Right, that's how we found out about Another Brick.
Yeah, there's this band called Fake, and they have this song called Brick, and it is the catchiest song, and it's become one of my favorite songs. I just love that song, but I don't think it's going to be on the countdown because you don't like it as much as I do. But
it's up to the board to decide. So who knows?
You're But yeah, if you haven't looked up the band Fake, I think they're a Swedish band, but it's Fake, and the song is called Brick. It's really good. It's really catchy.
Right, so check out Martini Ranch. Check out Fake. Mm-hmm. Because Fake is totally legit.
They're totally real, man.
Right, yeah.
Love them.
All right, yet another email we got. Again, our email is 80ofthe80s@gmail.com if you want to send us a message. You can also send us something on Facebook, too. But in your episode number 49, The Cars, Hello Again, during the commercial break, there's a Bubblicious commercial that plays.
Oh, yeah.
Fly away to a flavor fantasy. Bubblicious.
It's a longer song than their usual commercials, and is synth-driven and sung by a guy who sounds like he's affected a slight British accent.
Timeless space fills your mind.
To me, this sounds like Ebenezer. A lot like Ebenezer. I think Ebenezer is the way you pronounce it. EBN-OZN.
Again, don't ask me about pronunciation because I don't know.
So much so that I'd be very surprised if it wasn't.
Your flavor fantasy.
You can find it on YouTube, a lot of these awesome commercials. That one, it's kind of creepy because all the Bubblicious commercials are really psychedelic and strange. Mm-hmm. Because they're so fruitylicious, they used a Carmen Miranda animation and usually had like a Brazilian South American accent, but in this one she was like made up of stars and her voice sounded like a robot, and that just freaked me the heck out. As for the voice of Ebenezer, do you know the song A-E-I-O-U and sometimes Y?
Yeah.
Actually, there are two songs that are titled that. This is the one that where it's a bit of a rap, and the guy's rapping about how these girls won't pay attention to him.
We wound up spending about 5 hours together just hanging out, you know. So we go back to my place and we get high and we get really into each other, man. I mean, it was love about to happen, I'm serious. And then all of a sudden she gets up and she says, hey, I really gotta leave. Damn.
So that's the only thing I know about Ebenezer is that song. I did some research myself. I was able to find out if who did the music for Public. That's one of those things that not everything's on the internet, unfortunately. Some things are lost.
Yeah, that's true.
Lost in the void of time. So
I want to talk more in a little bit after listener mail about how computers and technology are taking over the world, because this is some serious stuff, man.
Okay.
Did I mention Ed Harrington in the last podcast?
No.
We are going to talk about Ed Harrington.
That can be some bonus content.
Yes, because this is some good stuff, so stay tuned. And this is true. It really is real.
But it's not 80s related, and therefore
it is not 80s related.
We're going to save it for as bonus material. If you don't want to hear it, wait until after the show and the end of Computer Age Plays.
Deal.
Yes, okay.
Deal.
But one more thing, though, is that how many times have I asked you to watch the new OMD video? The Punishment of Luxury?
Once.
Okay, well, that's enough. We didn't watch it.
No, I've heard their new stuff. I just haven't seen the video.
Okay, but you've heard the second single.
Yeah, I've heard the song.
Yeah.
I just haven't seen the video.
Yeah.
Wait, Andy's in it?
No.
Shit.
No.
Why?
I really do like how the last couple albums that the videos have been like they've had different animators, computer animators mostly.
Okay, well, I respect that.
As for the theme, I mean, you were talking about technology. What do you think about? Are we too?
Hey, yeah.
Being too.
No, I want to see it. I just haven't had time. But that leads again to the story of everyone's lives today. People don't have time for stuff.
Well,
there's a reason why, and I know the reason.
they call the punishment of luxury, and they're talking about, hey, how it sucks because we're eating too much.
Yes.
We're making too much stuff, and we're playing too many video games or something, or spending too much time having fun. And it's like, what's the problem with that? That's a good thing.
No,
That's a good problem to have.
I get what they mean. I think that a lot of things that people consider to be fun, like Facebook, is so time consuming. You can sit down and say, I'm just going to pop on Facebook just to see if anyone sent me a message or whatever. I don't know. And an hour's gone by. And then at night you're sitting there beating yourself up because you have this long list of hobbies or books you want to read or whatever it is. And then you're like, well, I don't have time to do this stuff. And no, dumbass, you do have time to do this stuff. You just don't use your time wisely. That's what it is. People get so, and I'm guilty of it too, that people just get so absorbed by their phones and their computers and, you know, that they don't really take time to do the things that they actually want to do. So I totally get what they mean. That's what I think.
Okay, no.
Because I think cell phones and computers and stuff, it is kind of a luxury.
Maybe they're not, like, criticizing the system, the man, as to say, but they're criticizing, you know, you as an individual.
That's what I'm saying.
You need to take responsibility. And
absolutely.
First off, be grateful that, hey, you know, that we actually have time to play video games, that we actually have food to stuff our bellies and get fat and stuff.
Yeah.
But then also understand that, you know, it's like doing drugs or drinking or whatever. You know, it's everything in moderation, and don't get carried away. So.
Okay, let's watch it. Oh, Andy needs to be the one in the thong, man.
Yeah.
It'd be so much better.
It's like Coke. Does anybody snort Coke anymore?
I don't know. Hey, that dude looked like Trump.
Oh, yeah? Maybe it was.
Yeah, it really is a great song. The images that they're showing, I don't give a crap about any of this stuff.
Well, oil. I mean, we need oil to
like, I don't...
fuels the economy.
Think you're right, think you're free, floating in your purgatory, but you made your choice.
In debt we trust. That is really true.
Yeah.
Again, Andy, I'd put money in your thong. I'm just saying. See the Facebook like? That's what I was just talking about. No, you know what? The video, it doesn't ring true, I think. And, I mean, of course, you and I, we live a very frugal life. And I don't, it's not necessarily because we don't have the money. It's just because I think we just don't care for a lot of the I consider frivolous things.
Yeah. But, you know, still compared to, you know, we have listeners around the world.
Oh, yeah, no, compared to some places.
We're in the 1%. We're in the top 1% of everyone around the world.
No, and I don't take it for granted. I really don't. But I do maintain, like what I said a few minutes ago about people do it to themselves. I read this article. This is not 80s in any way. But I read this article about this woman and her husband who decided to move to another country. And I can't even tell you what country it was. But it was a country where they don't really have a lot of the technology and stuff available that we have here.
Modern conveniences, yeah.
Modern conveniences, yes. And how after just a few years of being there, how they realized that their kids, they were better able to, even just communication. I'm going to sound like a really old fart here. But the younger people today don't even really know how to speak to each other. It's all text. It's all, you know what I mean? It's all Facebook. It's like, the minute you start telling people that someone died over Facebook, there's something wrong with you.
I was listening to another podcast, No Agenda Show, but one of the hosts is a former MTV VJ from back in the 80s, Adam Curry, I think is. Anyway, but he was talking about how he was in Florence, Italy this summer, and how nobody was really looking at the great works of art. They were just taking pictures of themselves in front of the great works of art, just so they could put that on social media and say, hey, everybody, I stood next to this great work of art. So it's like they're looking at their phones instead of experiencing where they are. And so that's another.
It's really sad. And I say all the time, you know, if you're on your deathbed, what are you going to be thinking about? That really great selfie that you took that time, or that really funny thing you posted on Facebook, or, you're going to be thinking about the people that you love. You're going to be thinking about our podcast because it's awesome. Things like that, I'm just kidding. But anyway, I think there's something to be said about that. I really do.
We're on Facebook, by the way.
Check out Facebook.
Yes, check us out.
Spend hours on Facebook. 80 of the 80s.
Right. So
I do get on Facebook. Ever since we moved away from home and I moved away from my family, I do get on Facebook, but it's just for like a couple minutes here or there. I mean, I just don't get into a lot of that stuff, except video games. Holy crap.
So, you think we can escape the grid?
Yes.
We could do it?
Yeah.
You could do it too.
Yeah, I definitely think
yes.
so.
Yes. So this is going back to computer age. You don't have to participate in the computer age. Well, except if you want to listen to our show.
In that case.
Right.
computers.
We're being such freaking hypocrites.
We really are. We hope you enjoyed the 80 of the 80s podcast, a proud member of the Throwback Network. To support our show, please leave review at iTunes. You can also download more episodes at TuneIn, Stitcher, or on our website, 80ofthE80s.com. And we also want to be your Facebook friend. Until the next song, this is AK-47 thanking you for your power play.
So going back to that, apparently in Florence, like all the street vendors are selling selfie sticks. Selfie sticks are big stuff.
Really?
And tourist sites, yes, because that's
I don't
the thing
have a
you
selfie
do
stick, man.
at tourist sites. So
I don't know. The only selfie I took that I was really proud of was with Miss Piggy at the Smithsonian, and that was about.
And I took one of Bert and Ernie.
Yeah, and that's really honestly about as far as I go with selfies.
Yeah.
I've tried to take a few pictures here and there just so people know that I'm not dead, but aside from that, I don't. Anyway.
So we're not big hypocrites. We're just little hypocrites.
Little bit maybe because of the podcast thing, but no, you have to have a computer. I just think as long as you're just not just absorbed, Ed Harrington. Is this a good time to go into Ed Harrington?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, this is not 80s, but this kind of leads into the whole thing of why I think people should all drive to the nearest bridge and just throw your cell phone into it. Because...
Yes, starting with you.
Yes,
I know. If you're going to talk the talk, you got to walk the walk.
So I've started this thing.
We're going to the bridge right after
I've
this,
done
right?
that before, and I will do it again. Just give me a few minutes because I have to get some information off of it. No, I'm just kidding. So I started this thing to where, like, we have kids. Our kids go to bed, and then I like to kind of veg out and watch an episode of The Twilight Zone.
Which is on Netflix.
I know I'm a hypocrite.
Broadcasted through the internet, yeah.
But anyway, so I've gotten to where I don't do it every single night, but every once in a while I would watch, The Twilight Zone. And the episode, it's And When the Sky Was Opened is what it's called. There is an episode where there are these three guys who come back to Earth from being in outer space. And one of the guys' names is Ed Harrington. And then there's like a guy named Forbes and a guy named Gart, I think. I can't remember. But anyway, so basically what happens is these guys, these three colonels, I think, they slowly start to disappear from existence. And the guy named Ed Harrington disappears. And I think it's Forbes, the guy's name is Forbes, who starts talking to the third guy named Gart, like, hey, where's Ed Harrington? And Gart's like, I don't even know who you're talking about. Who's Ed Harrington? So it's like, wait a second. Ed Harrington just completely disappears, okay? They call his mother. His mother has no idea who he is. So slowly they all three disappear. That's not the scariest part, okay? I turn off the Twilight Zone when it ends. And I'm like, oh, that was a really good episode, right? I pick up my phone just kind of casually, sign on to Facebook, And who do you think they recommended as a friend for me? Ed freaking Harrington. All the way in Washington. Ed Harrington. I do not live anywhere near Washington State. Why in the world would they recommend... Why would they recommend Ed Harrington for me unless my phone could hear that I was watching the Twilight Zone? I'm telling you, that is the truth.
It'd be even stranger if Ed Harrington was listening to this show right now.
Oh, freaking jeez. Yes. No, and I was not watching Netflix on my phone. I was watching it on the TV. I do not have a Gmail account linked up to the TV. I have nothing like that. It's all completely separate. The only thing I could think of is, even though I was not signed on to Facebook at the time, somehow my phone must have heard. I mean, I can't wrap my head around it, but it scares me.
Well, and so why do people want to put this actually I think it's called Echo device in their house? Alexa, yeah.
No, people, you're dumb. You are dumb. I don't care. You can say, oh my God, she's being so mean. You are dumb if you put that in your house because you know they're listening to you. You know they're recording you. They are watching you. And some of you may say, I don't have anything to hide. What about your privacy? What about just, you know what I mean?
A lot of it, they're getting market demographics. That way they can, supposedly that's what they're doing. They're finding more information for you, but it's like you go to Amazon and the algo or whatever they do to determine what I like, the products I like, are completely off. It's
getting worse. And here you're gonna have to shut me up in a second because I'm just gonna go. But
that's fine.
We got a new computer recently, okay? And when we were setting it up, because it's been years since we got a new computer. Like I said, we're not very lavish people, but anyway, it's asking all these questions like, put in your email account, and we want to set up all these preferences for you, and is it okay if we track your location? Is it okay if we track your... I don't even remember. It was just asking if it could track all this stuff. And we were like, what the hell? Mm-hmm. No, of course you can't. It's really scary. How many people would have just clicked, okay, go ahead with the recommended settings. I don't do that. I go through and I customize it because I don't want your asses watching me. Now, I know in some way I'm getting watched. I know they're watching me somehow. And I'm not like this paranoid person, but that Ed Harrington thing really got me thinking about cell phones and stuff because there was no other explanation for that.
Well, the ban that I guess OMD is riling against is mostly interested in us as consumers. That's our big function in this grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
But the government, we're not big fish. The Fed isn't going to give a damn about us, except if we do become political enemies for some reason. And so I don't know if or when that would ever happen. But if we ever did become a big fish, then who knows? Who knows what the repercussions of that might be?
Yeah,
so
I don't know.
That, or else just voting demographics, to find out like where the most likely Republican or Democrat voters are located. And again, I just don't really like the idea. I don't, so.
Yeah, I don't even like things like my cell phone tracking my location. Why do we need that? I mean, up until, a year and a half ago or so, I didn't even have a cell phone. To me, it's just really strange to have this phone next to you that knows all the stuff about you, and other people are able to find your location if you have it on your phone. It's really strange through Snapchat. I don't know how that works, but I've heard about it. I don't know. I'm freaked out by it all.
Well, yeah, there's what's it called, Foursquare and things. And again,
it's really
we probably sound like old fuddy-duddies because probably some of this stuff is so 2015.
We were kind of behind.
That maybe some of the technologies these days are even more advanced. Where you're listening to this, who knows? And the year 2030, 2050, 2117, who knows how long our people will be listening to this saying like
maybe. I know we do.
They'll just be like told like laughing at us.
I don't mean to sound uptight or anything. I think people should be able to have what they want. I mean, even the Alexa thing, I was like, you're dumb. But I mean, if you want to have that, that's fine. As long as you know that you are putting something in your house that people are gonna, they can watch you, they can hear you. I mean, it's just strange to me.
Well, just
I
think
don't know.
about,
I don't like it.
Well, like a household, the turn of the century. I'm talking about the last, like the 19th to the 20th century. You know, all the inventions from electricity to appliances to radio to, I mean, some of them probably went from just getting electricity in their house to actually being able to get television and it's air conditioning and just cars and just there. I mean, so there were a lot of advances back then too.
Yeah,
so maybe so there is a healthy paranoia to have, a healthy skepticism and concern to have, but in return, some of this technology is useful. So,
but you're basically sacrificing your privacy for convenience, and I don't think that that's.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying with adopting new technology.
Yeah. So. Sometimes I think I just need to live in the woods, but then again, I'm a vegetarian city girl. I would never survive.
Yeah, I mean, it would suck not having AC or.
I do like my AC.
We would have to walk down the creek just to brush our teeth.
That's true.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just saying, Ed Harrington, people, be careful. That's all I'm saying, Ed Harrington.
Yeah.
Oh. I wonder if Ralph still does that thing where it's like he won't answer the phone unless you call him within a specific time frame.
Yeah.
I think that is brilliant.
Well,
brilliant.
He also has what I think was a healthy paranoia. Kraftwerk was also very much concerned about the advancements of technology. Maybe a little too concerned because, like, you know, nuclear power is a good thing for the most part. But so I don't know if we should necessarily stop radioactivity.
Well, here we are. We're hypocrites because we've had the Gobotron all this time with us.
Yes.
And
no,
I don't know.
That's why I took him apart.
You know,
that's why he's been disassembled.
I know, but
I tell you what.
He was like a member of the family.
I'm going to be so freaked out if I hear him coming up the stairs because he's somehow found a way to reassemble himself.
I'm going to be freaked out if I hear that too because we don't have stairs. We don't have stairs.
We don't?